You might think moving to the Carolinas is the ultimate ticket to freedom. Lower taxes, warmer weather, friendly people, and that picture-perfect idea of Southern life that fills your social media feed. You sell the cramped place up north, load everything you own into a car, and roll down the highway, imagining a big backyard, a quiet street, and a house that feels like the reward for all your hard work. But there's a problem that almost nobody puts in the brochure. For thousands of buyers jumping in right now, that dream is turning into a financial trap. Under the surface, North Carolina and South Carolina are going through a real estate shift that most national coverage barely mentions. Listings are stacking up. Builders are stuck with unsold homes. Price cuts are no longer rare, they are expected. In certain pockets, the local market is not just cooling, it is cracking. This is Discover the Nation. If you're thinking about moving to the Carolinas, investing in a rental, or trading up to a bigger place, you need to know exactly where the pressure is building. In this video, we're driving through 10 specific suburbs where the housing market is sliding from hot to hazardous. We'll visit places where new neighborhoods already look half-empty, where sellers are waiting for offers that never come, and where investors who once bragged about returns are suddenly very quiet. Later on, we'll pass through a suburb outside Charlotte where homes sit dark for month after month, and a coastal favorite where investors are trying to get out before the next storm season and the next insurance renewal. Before we start the engine, do one quick thing to protect your future self. Tap like so this video reaches more people who need to hear it. Subscribe to Discover the Nation and turn on notifications if you want real talk on housing instead of sales pitches. Then tell us in the comments whether you think prices in the Carolinas still have room to fall this year. Now, buckle up. Let us drive straight into the reality that glossy listings will never show you. Number 10. Wake Forest, North Carolina. We begin just north of Raleigh in Wake Forest, a town that looks almost too charming on a Sunday drive. Tree-lined streets, a historic campus, and new neighborhoods wrapped in fresh landscaping. On the surface, it feels like the textbook example of where to move if you want small-town atmosphere near a growing city. Underneath all that curb appeal, the market is straining. During the remote work surge, Wake Forest turned into a magnet. Buyers arriving from more expensive cities paid top dollar for anything with modern finishes and a short commute into the Triangle. Builders answered that demand with wave after wave of new subdivisions. For a while, it looked like they could not build fast enough. Today, the hangover is obvious. For sale signs stay planted in the same yards week after week. That quick turnover from a couple of years ago has given way to long, uneasy waiting. Many new homes that would have sparked bidding wars now sit unchosen, while sellers try to decide how far they are willing to drop. Recent listing data shows inventory up sharply from last year, a clear sign that supply is outrunning actual demand at current prices and interest rates. Days on market have stretched, in some cases nearly doubling compared to the frantic pace of the peak. A growing share of listings now show at least one price cut, and more than a few have been relisted after failing to sell the first time. Builders are quietly pumping the brakes. New permits are coming in slower. In several communities, partially finished streets and empty lots stand as reminders that the rush has stalled. At the same time, rental managers report that vacancies are creeping higher, which means investors can no longer count on easy tenants to bail out an expensive purchase. Wake Forest is no longer the effortless win it was once marketed to be. It has become a waiting room full of optimistic sellers staring at a market that has moved on. If you are buying here, you need to negotiate like it is today, not pay like it is still 2021.
Number 9. Goose Creek, South Carolina. Crossing into South Carolina and heading toward the Charleston region, we land in Goose Creek. For years, this suburb was the backup plan. If you could not afford the historic charm or beach communities closer to downtown, you came here for something more attainable. That story is changing fast. Drive along the main corridors, and you see long rows of similar subdivisions and commercial strips. In the last boom, builders repeated the same formula again and again. Entry-level homes, modest yards, and prices aimed at first-time buyers. When mortgage rates were low and jobs felt stable, that was enough. Now the buyer pool is shrinking, As borrowing costs rise and budgets tighten, many of the households this area depends on simply cannot stretch to the numbers on the listings. The result is a neighborhood landscape where the music is stopped, but the chairs are still empty. Listings linger longer than they used to. Price reductions are no longer the exception, they're part of the plan. Local market data shows active inventory jumping dramatically compared to the same time last year. Signs of distress are starting to appear. Foreclosure activity has ticked upward, a classic early warning signal that some owners are struggling to keep up with payments. Median sales prices, which once marched steadily higher, have started to slip on a quarter-by-quarter basis. Investor activity has pulled back hard. Many of the same buyers who once bought multiple properties here as rental plays are gone. New construction communities are offering heavy incentives, including thousands in closing cost help and upgrades, just to move finished homes. Those discounts undercut owners who bought recently and now find their resale value competing with brand new product. Goose Creek is drowning in sameness. Rows of nearly identical houses chasing a smaller and more cautious group of buyers. Unless you secure an unusually deep discount, you are stepping into a market where the odds are stacked against you.
Number 8. Garner, North Carolina. We head back up into North Carolina, just south of Raleigh, to Garner. For a long time, this was the modest neighbor next to the capital. Then the growth wave hit, and Garner went from sleepy to overwhelmed. Drive through on a weekday and you feel it instantly. Construction zones along major roads, traffic clogging routes that were never designed for this volume, and new subdivisions pressed into every available patch of land. The town tried to grow at the speed of demand, and now the math is catching up. The housing market here ran into a wall. Investors looking for quick flips poured in during the frenzy. They bought older properties, upgraded finishes, and assumed they could exit to an endless line of eager buyers. Those buyers are no longer showing up in the same numbers. Many of those renovated homes now sit on the market longer than anyone expected. Recent reports show that a large share of listings in Garner now record at least one price reduction. Active listings are up sharply from a year ago, while pending sales are sliding. Sale prices per square foot that once climbed every quarter have flattened out, and some segments are starting to drift lower. Debt pressure is beginning to show. Delinquency rates in the area have nudged higher, reflecting households that are feeling the strain of larger payments in a tighter economy. Months of inventory, a measure of how long it would take to clear the current supply at the current pace of sales, has jumped from an ultra-tight, seller-friendly environment to a much more balanced, buyer-friendly level in a very short time. Builders have taken notice. Several projects have slowed future phases, and some lots are being left idle while companies wait to see where prices land. Garner is shifting from boom narrative to bust reality, and that shift is rarely gentle. If you are walking into this market today, you are walking into a place that already used up its hype. The question is not whether Garner will correct, it is how far that correction will go before demand and prices finally meet again.
Number 7. Simpsonville, South Carolina. Back in South Carolina, we reached Simpsonville, part of the growing stretch outside Greenville, often marketed as the Golden Strip. On a sunny afternoon, the downtown clock tower and surrounding streets give the impression of a thriving small city that figured everything out. The truth is more complicated. Simpsonville became one of the go-to choices for people chasing jobs in the upstate region and looking for what felt like a balanced lifestyle. Builders responded with new neighborhoods in every direction. For a while, every new phase seemed to fill up as soon as it opened. Now you can drive through some of those same neighborhoods and notice a different pattern. Every few houses, another sign in the yard. Listing after listing competing for attention. The market is no longer tight, it is crowded. Stats from the local association confirm what you see on the ground. Inventory has been rising steadily for months, with the number of homes for sale up significantly from last year. The time it takes for a typical property to go under contract has grown, stretching into nearly 2 months in many cases. New construction makes up a surprisingly large portion of the active market. Builders who are under pressure to move units are trimming prices, offering meaningful discounts, and throwing in incentives that individual sellers simply cannot match. At the same time, only a small share of homes now sell above the asking price, a dramatic drop from the frenzied conditions of a couple of years ago. Early signs of distress are appearing here as well. Foreclosure starts have inched higher. Rental vacancies are up as well, which erodes the returns that investors once counted on. Sellers are taking visible cuts from their initial asking prices just to stay in the game. Simpsonville is no longer a hidden value. It is an overbuilt battlefield where owners are competing not just with each other, but with large builders and hesitant buyers. Unless you walk in with leverage and patience, you are likely to pay yesterday's expectations in a market that is already moving down.
Number 6. Indian Trail, North Carolina. Now we steer toward the Charlotte Metro, into Indian Trail. During the height of the pandemic housing surge, this suburb was marketed as the perfect escape. More space, quieter streets, family-friendly neighborhoods, and at the time, a price tag that looked manageable compared to the city core. 3 years of aggressive price growth changed that equation. As you inch along Independence Boulevard in heavy traffic, it becomes obvious that demand did not just bring higher prices, it brought congestion and strain. Inside the neighborhoods, the same pressure is playing out in the housing numbers. Indian Trail saw home values climb faster than local incomes could reasonably support. When mortgage rates were low, the gap was masked. Now that borrowing costs are higher and lenders are stricter, those prices are running into a hard ceiling. Many local buyers simply cannot qualify for the payments sellers are demanding. Market reports paint a clear reversal. The supply of homes for sale has multiplied compared to last year, turning a once scarce environment into one where buyers have options and time. Completed sales are down meaningfully, which means many properties never find a buyer at all or take far longer than owners expected. Listing prices are finally bending. Medians that held stubbornly high through the first stage of the slowdown are now slipping quarter by quarter. A large share of transactions now include heavy seller concessions, with owners paying sizable amounts toward closing costs or rate buydowns just to make the deal work. Days on market have climbed into the multiple-week range and continue to rise. Pre-foreclosure activity in certain zip codes is up from prior years, another signal that some households are stretched too thin. Investor purchases, which once drove much of the demand here, have fallen sharply. Even showing traffic per listing has dropped, reflecting buyers who are cautious and more selective. Indian Trail climbed too high too quickly. The correction is not a theoretical future event, it is underway. Anyone buying in now needs to be very honest about how long this reset might last and how much further prices can fall.
Number 5. Lexington, South Carolina. From there, we head to the Midlands of South Carolina, just outside Columbia, to Lexington. This is a place with a strong reputation. Lake access, highly rated schools, and a steady presence of government and university jobs made it seem like the safe bet that would always hold value. That safety blanket is fraying. Drive across the dam and through the sprawling subdivisions, and you feel something unsettling. There are a lot of homes, a lot of freshly built streets, and not nearly as much obvious activity at the sales centers as there used to be. For years, the area expanded to welcome newcomers from other states and from surrounding rural communities. Now, that pipeline of demand is slowing. Local listing data shows active inventory way up from a year ago, a clear sign that supply has outrun the current pool of buyers. The median time to sell has stretched to around 2 months, and more homes are expiring off the market entirely without a successful sale. Price reductions are common, with a significant share of listings dropping at least once. Builders are pulling back, new permits have declined, an attempt to avoid pouring more homes onto an already saturated market. Expired listings, which are properties that fail to sell within their listing period, have climbed. That is a sign that expectations set during the boom are not matching what buyers are willing or able to pay today. Behind those numbers are households feeling strain. Delinquencies in the area have moved higher. Even lakefront and higher-end properties are sitting, sometimes for half a year or longer, instead of being snapped up instantly as they were not long ago. The ratio between sale price and original asking price has slipped, giving buyers more leverage and signaling weaker confidence. Lexington is caught between the image of a stable, desirable community and the reality of too much supply and not enough income growth to support peak pricing. For new buyers, that means you either secure a significant discount or risk stepping into a declining value curve.
Number 4. Gastonia, North Carolina. We head back toward the Charlotte region, this time to the west into Gastonia. Once a textile town trying to reinvent itself as a modern suburb with new entertainment districts and redevelopment projects, it briefly looked like the last affordable option within reach of the big city. That affordability attracted a wave of speculative attention. As prices inside Charlotte climbed, buyers who felt pushed out looked west. Investors and flippers followed, drawn to older homes they could renovate and relist. For a time, demand was strong enough to make the news story believable. Now the limits are clear. Walk through downtown and the nearby neighborhoods, and you see renovation projects still underway, but you also see more signs in front yards and more properties sitting without much movement. The buyers who powered the surge have thinned out. Regional data shows a sharp drop in pending sales, a direct measure of contracts being signed. Inventory has soared compared to a year ago, sending a clear message that supply now overwhelms serious demand. Median sale prices have already started to drift down, not just flatten. Distressed sales, including bank-owned and short-sale properties, are rising from almost non-existent levels to a measurable share of the market. Average days on market have grown significantly. Investor transactions have fallen off a cliff, leaving individual sellers without the backup buyer group that once scooped up listings. Price cuts are everywhere, with a large percentage of homes reducing at least once before they find a buyer, if they find one at all. Rent growth has stalled and even slipped in some segments, squeezing landlords who bought on tight margins. Gastonia is acting as the early warning for the broader Charlotte area. It was the last stop for stretched buyers and aggressive investors, which makes it the first place to show stress when conditions shift. If this market is already sliding, it is a strong sign that risk is building further up the chain as well. Number 3. Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. We return to the coast and cross the bridge into Mount Pleasant, one of the most sought-after suburbs in the South. High-end shops, manicured communities, and an image of coastal perfection have made this area a trophy location for years. That does not make it immune to basic arithmetic. Living here has never been cheap, but the total cost has jumped to levels that even high-income households are beginning to question. The insurance situation along the coast is a major factor. Premiums for many homeowners have surged as storms, flooding, and risk reassessments roll through the system. Pair that with higher borrowing costs and already steep property taxes, and the monthly bill to stay in Mount Pleasant looks nothing like it did even a few years ago. The luxury market is feeling the chill. Inventory for higher-priced homes has climbed noticeably. Sales of million-dollar-plus properties are down, and the time it takes to move them has stretched toward 3 months or more in many cases. Some sellers have slashed asking prices by 6 figures just to draw serious interest. Data from recent sales shows the ratio between sale price and list price slipping below the levels this area is used to. That is a clear sign that buyers are pushing back. Insurance costs have risen sharply in this zip code, making some prospective buyers walk away once they see the full monthly picture. Jumbo loan applications are down as lenders tighten standards and wealthy buyers become more cautious. Custom builds and new high-end projects are slowing. Several planned homes are on pause while builders gauge demand. Underneath all of this is one simple reality. Even affluent buyers have a breaking point. Mount Pleasant is entering an affordability crisis at the top of the market. If you step in now, you're not just buying a coastal lifestyle, you're taking on a stack of ongoing costs that many current owners are quietly trying to escape.
Number 2. Canapapolis, North Carolina. We point the car back toward the outer ring of the Charlotte area and arrive in Canapapolis. Known for its racing history and its ambitious efforts to reinvent downtown with new research and mixed-use development, this city became a favorite target for big money during the last buying wave. Large institutional investors bought aggressively here. They picked up single-family homes, renovated older properties, and built portfolios based on the assumption that rents and prices would keep rising. For a while, it worked. Now the tide is going out. In neighborhood after neighborhood, you see renovated homes and newer builds that were clearly designed with investors in mind. The problem is that many of the biggest buyers have stopped adding to their holdings. Some are quietly beginning to sell. When the players who used to set the floor on pricing step back, the whole structure shifts. Local records show that purchases by large investors have plunged compared to last year. Without that constant stream of demand, inventory has grown rapidly. A large share of active listings now show price reductions, sometimes multiple rounds, as sellers try to feel out where real buyers still exist. Median sale prices have stopped climbing and are beginning to edge down. Days on market have more than doubled in some segments. Vacant homes are more common, a signal that owners would rather leave a property empty than slash the rent or price to match reality. New construction plans are being trimmed, permits are down, and some builders in the area are postponing future phases. Foreclosure rates are creeping above national averages, another hint that the balance sheet behind the pretty pictures is under stress. Canapapolis was held up by Wall Street-scale money for several years. With that support pulling back, the market is being forced to stand on local incomes in organic demand. Right now, those are not strong enough to justify the numbers sellers are hoping for.
Number 1. North Charleston, South Carolina. Our final stop is North Charleston, the most fragile market on this road trip. Compared to its more polished neighbor, this is an area shaped by industry, shipping, and long-running economic challenges. During the frenzy, buyers who were priced out of more expensive zip codes turned here because there was still inventory and the numbers on the listing looked within reach. Now, those same buyers are in a tough spot. North Charleston carries the weight of all the problems we have seen elsewhere, plus a few more. Elevated inventory, higher rates, insurance that is climbing. On top of that are persistent concerns about crime and a local job base that can be sensitive to broader economic slowdowns. Current data shows months of supply pushing well above the comfort zone for sellers. Prices are not just stalling, they are falling faster here than in most of the surrounding region. Foreclosure filings have jumped, placing this area among the hardest hit in the broader coastal market. A majority of homes on the market have been sitting for 2 months or longer without a serious offer. The ratio of sale price to list price has dropped into the mid-90s, meaning sellers are giving up meaningful ground just to close. Investor activity, which once helped clear inventory, has nearly vanished as flippers and landlords realize the risk no longer matches the reward. Evictions and rental stress are part of the picture as well. Property crime rates remain high in certain neighborhoods, which deters new families from choosing this area if they have alternatives. Together, these forces create a feedback loop. Fewer buyers, more distress, more caution, and more downward pressure on prices. North Charleston is in a full correction. For most people, this is not the place to gamble on a quick rebound. It is the place you study as a warning of what can happen when too many risks stack up in one market at the same time.